All right, it's recording, so just record me. Hey, folks, let's take a look at the slide outline. Addison, you're probably going to want to mostly be on the screen here.
Okay.
So this is a 7-slide presentation. First up, you've got your title slide. It's simple. You just have to have the title of your paper, whatever it is, in your name. The second slide, just maybe give a little bit of an overview of why your topic might be controversial, and you want your thesis in there somewhere. Now, some people divide these into 2 slides. You're welcome to do that if you want to.
Okay.
But you're previewing the different sides of your issue. Why is this a debatable topic? But then you have your thesis, and you can pretty much copy and paste your thesis from your paper. You're going to have at least 1 slide for each of your main arguments. You just summarize the argument, and you try to provide at least 2 supports for that argument. So it's kind of like almost your paper in outline form. If you want to have more than 1 slide for an argument, you can do that. It's up to you. Slide 6 is your closing thought. Provide a closing thought for your presentation, perhaps the one that you had in your paper. That would make sense. And then finally, copy and paste your works cited from your paper over. That's why I put 7+, because it might be more than 1 slide,
True.
depending on how many sources you have.
Yep.
And that's a copy-paste job. You just have to do some reformatting so that it looks like a correct works cited page. Now, that's the main outline, but along with that, there are some criteria for each slide. Each slide should be relevant and cited. What does that mean? Well, it says the slide covers what it's supposed to, according to the outline above, and then the text is appropriately cited using parenthetical citations. What you have to cite in a presentation? Well, it's just the sources that you had in your paper. And I'll show you how to do that. It's not that big of a deal. Of course, each slide should be insightful. It includes interesting information that adds to the audience's understanding of the topic and argument, but also explain, meaning the presenter provides helpful commentary about the information on the slide and doesn't just read the text. Of course, presentations are meant for looking at, not just reading. So you've got a few bullet points on here for argument, and you read a bullet point and then you explain what it means. You don't just read them and be like, next slide, click. By the way, I'll have a clicker.
Nice. Hey, Addison, what is it?
All right, formatting. Here are some things I prefer formatting-wise. Of course, makes sense that the text on the slide should be easy to read. It's written in a consistent way. Try to, for each slide, keep it consistent. Either all bullet points or all sentences. You shouldn't have a combination of sentences and bullet points on an individual slide. So there shouldn't be too much text on the slide. It's not simply copied and pasted from the paper, other than your thesis and works cited. You should use consistent font styles. Generally, you don't want to use any more than 3 font styles. And please don't use the most bright, loud, wacky font possible.
Sorry.
There is proper contrast between the font and background. Don't put yellow font on a white background because people won't see it.
They'll see it.
The contents of the slide should be placed in an orderly fashion. Generally, things should be centered, and you want to try and fill out the space of the slide. Are you getting this, Addison? The space, fill out the space of the slide. Okay. And there really should be awkward blank spaces on the slide. Sometimes I'll get a slide where it's like, the information is up here, and then all this is blank. It's like, come on, what's that?
Like good presentation. Just joking.
Is it?
Yeah, it is actually.
No, it's not.
He's still getting it.
Grammar and spelling, of course, if you make mistakes there, you lose some points. And every slide should have a transition and at least 1 animation. Why? Because it's professional. Transitions are easy to do. You can just hit apply all and it's done. Just at least 1 animation, either a heading or a picture. Speaking of pictures,
Yeah.
you have to include at least 2 images. Not every slide has to have a picture, but you need at least 2 throughout the course of your presentation. You do get a grade for those. first of all, is the picture or image or chart or graph relevant to the slide that's on? Do you take time to explain it? Don't just say, here's a chart, moving on. Slow down and explain the chart.
Yeah.
You should cite it just by copying and pasting the basic URL of the website where the images were found. I'll show you how to do that in a bit. And make sure that the image is big enough for the audience to see. One option is to have the image come up at the end of its slide after the text of the slide has been read. So you don't want to be like, well, gee, there's all this text on my slide and I only have a little bit of room for a picture. Well, if you just put the picture here, nobody can see it. So what I like to do is present the slide and then just slap the picture on top so it's big and everybody can see it. And then I explain it. You do get some points for presenting. Eye contact.
Oh my God. You don't even make eye contact.
Yes, I do.
No. You
I
stare at the board.
right now.
Because I'm talking to you.
Generally, 2/3
Oh,
of the
that
time, Jack,
Seriously.
2/3 of the time you want your eyes on your audience. That's because I'm not giving a formal presentation. If I had a PowerPoint that I was going through or a Google Slides thing, then I would do it more. Now I have to be conscientious about it. You want to have kind of an open stance here where, yes, you can look at the screen and see what's there and read it, but generally you're looking at your audience. Because if you're doing one of these things, it's kind of like you don't even like us. Why would you turn your back on us? Why would you do that?
Because you do it.
I do not. Clarity of voice. It's easy for the audience to understand what the presenter is saying due to your use of volume, pitch, and enunciation. Some people get nervous and they speak very softly, you can't hear them. Some people speak in a monotone the entire time. I do not speak in a monotone.
Bull crap.
No, he doesn't.
Good one. Good comeback.
Thank you. Enthusiasm. Well, I just raised my pitch right now.
Because I'm talking to you.
Enthusiasm. Hey kids, the student should present with an appropriate level of energy that enhances your message and helps the audience pay attention. Now, if you don't seem at least interested about your topic, how's the audience supposed to get interested? Now, when I say enthusiasm, that doesn't mean that you have to come up here and Brett's like, hey kids, death penalty. Like, that's not appropriate, but at least you should be, get up here and have some energy to your presentation. It's abortion. This is on tape. Posture and mannerisms. The presenter should stand up straight and use the appropriate amount of gesticulations. You move from time to time, but you don't have any mannerisms that are distracting. And you try to be conscientious about filler words. You don't want to use words like like, well, so, to a point where it's distracting. They should be rarely heard. We all say them, but try to avoid them. And it's, somewhere in the middle. You don't want to be, I'm scared and like this.
I dig it.
Nice. But then on the opposite end, you don't want to be like, because that's distracting.
Interesting. Right?
What?
Nothing.
And respond to the audience. Hey, don't be afraid to ask your audience questions every once in a while, because that makes it interesting. Like, hey, how many of you have heard of this? Or what's your understanding of this?
No one answers though when you do that.
Well, what you do is you just stare at everyone awkwardly until somebody does. And then you just call on people. All right, so those are some things that are taken into account. Let's look at some sample presentations. I've got a couple of them up here for you. One is about Planned Parenthood from last year. I've changed the names to protect the innocent. You guys remember Jill Smith, right?
Dylan Smith.
It's not Dylan Smith.
You know he's having his baby right now?
That's right.
Yeah.
Daddy Dylan. All right.
Nice. There we go.
Anyway, you see what just happened there? That was a transition.
Nice.
You need one of those, and that's all you need. A title and your name. transition.
That's awful.
Hey, here is the animations as the text comes up. See how that works? And this is an overview of the controversy. And then she has a separate slide for her thesis. Yeah, that's pretty much right from her paper. And then each slide has, or each argument has at least one slide. Now you can see how she cited where information came from. That's a reference to one of her sources. And you can also see, well, this thingy's in the way. Go away. No. You can see that there's a website underneath the picture, and that's how you cite things. There it is. There's some Planned Parenthood protesters.
Nice.
Argument 2, the benefits of how Planned Parenthood is funded. Okay, well, I guess it's covered through this stuff, and I got all this information from this lady.
Yeah.
Or man, it could be a man. I don't know.
Yeah, it could.
Hey, did you know that a Republican president was the first to endorse government funding of Planned Parenthood?
Where's the ending quotation?
Now that is something that's on the template itself. It doesn't have one, so I'm not going to force it to put in one because it wasn't designed like that.
Yeah.
But you notice that there's another picture citation down here,
Actually, we don't.
and then there's some more protesters. Okay, another citation for argument 3. There's a chart, and I probably counted her off for this one because the graph wasn't big enough for everybody to see. So I would have preferred that maybe she slapped it up afterwards, and then that would be helpful. It does a citation where it's from on the picture itself. Yeah, she got a closing thought here, and then the works cited. It's slapped on there. It's
Jeez.
formatted to look like a works cited. It's good to go. Let's look at it one more quickly. This one comes to us by way of Sarah Roberts. You guys remember her, right?
No.
It's because it's an alias.
Oh my gosh. Why are you facing the board right now? Huh. Weird.
This isn't my presentation.
But it's still a presentation.
The Silent Killer by Sarah Roberts. She's got a title, she's got her name. Hey, it's time for a thesis and some background. So she gives us kind of her 3 main arguments that she's going to discuss, and here's why it's controversial. Maybe there's not enough to really know how to act. So there's argument 1. There's some lovely animations that brought those up. I don't see a citation for this one, so she might have got docked the point for that. Fertilizer gets the food, kids. You don't want that.
Yeah, you do.
But anyway, you notice how she's citing throughout. It could seep into your drinking water. That's no good. Citations. And then there's this other stuff. This must be part of argument 2. Ooh, I like how she does this. You know, don't just shove that graph in the corner where we can't hardly see it. Just put it on its own slide. What the heck? Get wild. And then you can see that she puts the citation at the bottom. And, you know, she could get away with, every time I do it, it brings up this thing.
Well, then don't bring it.
You just have to cite it out to the .org, .com, .net, .edu, .mil. See, it's right. Anyway, here's our 3rd argument, and there's more citations, and then it looks like a nice quote, kind of a closing thought on behalf of the American Carbon Registry. Oh, here's her closing thought, what should change. And then she's got her works cited. Now, kids, you can use the features that Google Slides has embedded in it, or you can use this lovely website.
No.
That's right, it's Slide Carnival.
That's pretty fake.
Boy, look at all those fun things I could use for my presentation. I want to look at all the templates. And brand new for this Christmas, it's the Christmas 2019 presentation template. Oh, how about this one? Human. Hey, by the way, these are all named after Shakespeare characters.
What?
Well, say that I like the way this looks, I want to know more.
Which one?
And then it's like, hey, do you want this son of a gun? Sure. Well, you're going to have to scroll down to where it gets to the Google Slides part. You can preview it by kind of arrowing through the slides and seeing what's there. I believe each template has about 28 slides. And if you want to use it, you just hit use as my Google Slides theme. And this thing will pop up, and you're like, yep, use template. And then you wait. And then it does this thing, and you can retitle it. It's now in my Google Drive. It's now mine. Now, of course, I don't want to use all these slides. What I like to do is go through and find a few slides that I like. I don't want to use that. Oh, I like that one. I don't want to use this. Nah. Oh, that's going to be my closing thought slide. Yeah, I might use one of those. And then I don't want to use any other ones, so I'm just going to go beep, 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 beep. And, you know, like this is a good general one. I could just take this guy and copy and paste it. And now, like, those are here's my 3 argument slides. Now I just have to insert my own information. Of course, they let you edit it. So, you know, here's my presentation. Why smartphones are ruining the world.
Why'd you capitalize R?
That's a good point, Jack. I should capitalize R. Of course, what else do I need on this slide? That's right, my name. So I'm going to insert a text box and put Richard Martin.
Nice.
Now I want to use the same font here. This is Zilla Slab.
Huh?
So I'm going to go find some Zilla Slab here. There it is. I'm going to Zilla Slab Bold.
No.
Oh yeah. And then I'm going to do 36 because I'm important. Of course, I want it to match up because I'm into design and I like things to be matchy-matchy. So I'm going to get white font and now it matches what the other font is. But that's not all. I got to have a transition. So I'm going to hit this transition button. And now, Google Slides does not offer all the bells and whistles of PowerPoint, but it has several same transitions to choose from. Of course, everyone's favorite is the cube, and I want my cube to be medium. And I'm going to apply it to all slides. Boom, transition done.
No.
But that's not all. You have to have an animation.
Yep.
At least one. So what you do is, it's under the transition thing, you click on something that you want to animate, and you're like, yeah, select an object to animate. Right now it's fade in. I could change it to other things, but I'm going to keep it with the fade in. I'm going to make my name fade in. And now I put it all together, and it looks like this. Oh, there's the cube.
No.
There's a fade. And another fade. Oh, that's not good right there. White on white. I got to do something about that. So I'm going to change
Move it over.
No.
Just
what
move it over to the left.
I'm going to do is change it to match the other colors of the thing, which, you know, there it is. Well, no. Oh, it's theme colors right here. Boom. Check that out.
Ew.
Now it's yellow on white. Not
Yellow and white.
Hold on, hold
Just to
on.
move it over.
Literally just move it over.
Look, a masterpiece takes time, so just be patient.
No, it
No,
doesn't.
color.
There's no solution.
No,
Move it.
no.
Can't read that.
No. Move it over to the left.
Thank you.
So it's fixed. Now, one more thing I'll show you.
Ah.
Images. I'm gonna Google search images for my presentation. I went ahead and earlier, I Google search cell phones. It's just English class, calm down. I Google search cell phones are ruining the world. I put an image, and you know what? I'm next level, so I want a chart. What? Look at this. Cell phones are ruining social skills. This is from Penn State.
That's not a reliable source.
Yeah, it is. It's a Big Ten school, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm going to copy this image, and I'll just pretend that it's supposed to go in here.
Then you wrap the text.
No, you don't wrap it. What you do,
You move it over to the left.
what you do is you hit a transition, and what I'm gonna do is, this is gonna come up afterwards. So, I'll read the text of my slide, and then it'll come up afterwards, but that's not all. You also have to say where it came from. Now, this is some site at Penn State, so I'm gonna click there, and all you have to do is just get the basic web address, sites.psu.edu. I can just copy and paste that over, and of course, it doesn't have to be very big, it just has to be there, and I'll just count that as my little citation. Probably put it in an inconspicuous place.
Probably.
Over in the corner here, the bottom corner, and voila. So that's the basics of how you design this thing. You have the rest of the period, which is roughly 20 minutes. You can work on the paper or the presentation. I'll come around and answer.
I maybe paused it.
Pretty good.
You didn't get the whole